Lesson 24 The Seventh Commandment of Leadership, What Do I Need to Change, Part 2. 3. Reflecting on Goals. Did you notice the key to this case study? Grove and Moore made the right decision, but what was the key? The key was that they upgraded their small reflection to medium reflection. This reflection upgrade is crucial, and I will explain it to you in detail. Small reflection is reflection on actions, reflecting on how to change actions to do better. Small reflection is often necessary, but it has a problem: it assumes that the goal does not need to be changed. In this case study, Grove and Moore initially engaged in small reflection. They reflected on how to change their actions to produce memory better than Japanese companies. You should note that this question comes with an assumption that their goal is still to win in the memory market. This goal was not questioned. Can this goal be questioned? Of course, this goal can be questioned. However, Grove and Moore did not think to question this goal until Grove had a sudden inspiration and asked Moore, "What would happen if the board of directors fired us and hired new CEO and president? What would they do?" Moore replied with uncertainty, but he thought they might stop producing memory. Grove said, "Then why don't we walk out of this office, and then walk back in as the new CEO and president appointed by the board of directors? Then we can do what the new CEO and president would do, which is to stop producing memory." Do you understand what Grove meant? He suggested that they walk out of the office, which would mean they were fired by the board of directors. Then they would walk back in as the new CEO and president appointed by the board of directors. They would then do what the new CEO and president would do, which is to stop producing memory. The key to this case study is that Grove and Moore upgraded their reflection from small reflection to medium reflection. They questioned whether they should continue producing memory, which is a reflection on their goal. They upgraded from how to change actions to how to change goals. Was it necessary for them to upgrade their reflection? Intel's subsequent development proved that it was necessary. How can we upgrade from small reflection to medium reflection? In fact, Grove used a reflection technique that I mentioned in the previous lecture, called thinking from another person's perspective. Put yourself in another person's position and think about what they would do. This is thinking from another person's perspective. Thinking from another person's perspective has two benefits. One is to shift perspective, and the other is to release emotions. I want to remind you that in this case study, the key was not shifting perspective, but releasing emotions. Why did Grove and Moore engage in small reflection all along and never thought of giving up memory? The reason is that memory was their product, and it was like their own child. They had an emotional attachment to memory, so they never thought of giving it up. Grove may have sensed that there was a problem. So he used thinking from another person's perspective and asked, what would happen if new CEO and president were hired? By doing so, he released his emotions. New CEO and president were new, and they had no emotional attachment to memory. They could make more objective decisions. Reflect on mental model. Earlier, I used the example of Intel to help you differentiate between small and medium reflection, and also to review the technique of substitution thinking. Now, I will use the same example to help you distinguish between medium and large reflection. A famous management scholar named Argyris proposed a model called double-loop learning. He said that many companies engage in learning only to change their actions, which is single-loop learning. Actions are often determined by goals. Sometimes, what needs to be changed is not the action, but the goal itself. Changing the goal is double-loop learning. You may have noticed that single-loop learning and double-loop learning correspond to small and medium reflection, respectively. However, I believe that double-loop learning alone is not enough. We also need triple-loop learning, which is what I call large reflection. Small reflection is reflecting on how to change actions, medium reflection is reflecting on how to change goals, and large reflection is reflecting on how to change cognitive patterns. There is a hierarchical relationship between these three types of reflection, and each upgrade aims to solve problems at a higher level. Why are small and medium reflection not enough, and why do we need large reflection? Because if we can change the cognitive pattern behind actions and goals, it will not only affect the current action or goal, but also all actions and goals that may be affected by this cognitive pattern. Therefore, we need to reflect on the level of cognitive patterns. How do we engage in large reflection? Let's go back to the example of Intel. In this case, we did not see Grove and Moore engage in large reflection. However, they could have done so. They needed to reflect on why they did not consider the option of stopping memory production earlier. What cognitive pattern hindered them from doing so? Did this cognitive pattern also affect their decision-making in other areas? How can they change this cognitive pattern? If they make changes at the level of cognitive patterns, they can make more effective decisions in other areas in the future. Therefore, they need to engage in large reflection. 5. Formula: What do I want to change? The theme of this lecture is, what do I want to change? A leadership mantra. I want to remind you that as a leader, you not only need to use this mantra for yourself, but also for others. When using it for others, you need to change the subject of the sentence and ask, what do you want to change? This mantra often needs to be used together with the previous one, failed. Congratulations. When you fail, you say, congratulations, to yourself, but you also need to ask yourself, what do I need to change? When your subordinates fail, you say, congratulations, to them, but you also need to ask them, what do you need to change? Only by reflecting on failure and treating it as a learning opportunity can failure truly become a good thing.